Republican leader, the gentleman from California, Mr. McCarthy.
The distinguished Republican leader is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. At the heart of Democrats' border security policy is the assumption that America can assume an unlimited number of illegal immigrants without considering its impacts on jobs, communities, security, and in today's world, health. This assumption defies all historical evidence. More importantly, it defies the evidence right before our very eyes. Madam Speaker, in the last month alone, Border Patrol apprehended the largest surge of migrants in 20 years, 172,000 individuals in one single month. By September, we're on track to encounter 2 million illegal immigrants. Now, that is about twice the size of the population of Delaware, President Biden's home state. This surge was directly caused by the actions of the Biden administration. On day one, President Biden issued 5 executive orders that reversed the common sense immigration policies that were working. Then his administration sent mixed signals to migrants that now is not the time to come, but promising not to deport children and many families. And now on Monday's order, it just demonstrates the White House is more concerned about policing Border Patrol's language than it is protecting our border. Now, I'm very glad that President Biden finally admitted that there's a crisis at the border. But what we really need is for him to admit that his policies and rhetoric caused the crisis to begin with. The results of this crisis are as predictable as they are disastrous for both migrants and American citizens. Just this past weekend, the Biden administration was forced to shut down a Houston migrant center for children because of unbearable conditions. Hundreds of unaccompanied minors had to be shuttled somewhere else. I know everybody in this body understands that that is heartbreaking. It is a public health risk. That's because the Biden administration is releasing migrants into American cities without negative COVID tests, without court dates, and without a way to track where they will go. Already, that number is up to 15,000. Now, Madam Speaker, that doesn't come from me. I saw it on the news today from a Democratic colleague who put this number out and said it was disastrous. But the border crisis isn't just a humanitarian and public health crisis. It is also a national security crisis. Last month, I shared some alarming news. When I was down on the border, I was speaking to the Border Patrol agents, and they informed me that individuals on the terrorist watch list were caught trying to enter our country. Madam Speaker, I know how much you care about protecting this country from terrorism. I thought everybody in your side of the aisle would care just as much. Unfortunately, Congressman Gallego accused me of lying. Congresswoman Escobar said I was trying to fuel divisions, Madam Speaker. But the Customs and Border Patrol Agency confirmed that 4 suspected terrorists had been caught. And since then, more suspected terrorists have been caught at different times in different places from Yemen, but not on the same day. 2 different individuals. Now, I'm sure maybe because of the challenges with COVID and the distance we must keep, that I have not received the apology of being accused of a liar on a national security issue, but I assume that will come shortly. The security problem also includes a flow of drugs. When I was on that same border in El Paso, talking to some of those same agents, they told me they have never seen the amount of fentanyl that has come across the border in the last month. Americans are dying because the cartels are exploiting the Biden border crisis to make a profit. Fentanyl overdoses are surging across the country. Now, in my home state, Madam Speaker, in the Speaker's hometown of San Francisco, saw more fentanyl-related deaths last year than COVID-related deaths, according to the Wall Street Journal. Madam Speaker, it's hard to imagine anything more short-sighted than doubling down on Biden's failed border policies. But incredibly, I sit on this floor, the House Democrats want to respond to this humanitarian, public health, and national security crisis by passing a recycled legislation from the last Congress. Now, I know, Madam Speaker, the Speaker doesn't want us to work in committees and wants to do it from afar, but I still think we could have new ideas to a bigger problem created by a new administration. They want to strip future presidents of their authority to keep Americans safe. That's what the No Band Act does. They also want to grant foreign nationals access to lawyers. But foreign nationals have never been entitled to this privilege before, and it will cost taxpayers $825 million over the next 5 years. That may not sound much if you just want to throw trillions out there, but that's hard-working taxpayers' money. It is a lot of money. But are Democrats working to repair the crisis and the radical policies caused? No. Are they working to stop the mass flow of illegal migration? No. Are they working to secure our borders? No. But Vice President Harris has refused to visit the border for 28 days. By contrast, more than a third of the House Republicans have been to the border and seen the crisis for themselves. There's even been some bipartisan trips, Madam Speaker, and I was very excited to hear that in the bipartisan trip that their questions were asked. And my understanding was the very first question one of our Democrat colleagues asked, is it really true we're catching terrorists? And the shock upon their face when the border agents say, yes, from the terrorist watch list, we have caught them. What's really concerning to me, if you read the Washington Post, the thousands of people who come across a day who are not caught. How many terrorists are in that group? How much fentanyl are those people carrying? We've learned to lead directly to action to be taken here in Congress. 2 weeks ago, Dr. Miller Meeks introduced a bill to require a negative COVID-19 test before any illegal immigrant is released from custody. Madam Speaker, I was shocked, but your side of the aisle blocked it. Last week, Rep. Carter and Peter Meyer offered a motion to combat the trafficking of fentanyl, which are 100 times deadlier than the regular fentanyl. Democrats blocked it, even though 137 of them voted for the same motion last year. Could you imagine that, Madam Speaker? 137 on your aisle voted just last year for that amendment. I guess things have changed. Madam Speaker, Congress needs to do the right thing here. We should not be wasting its time on recycled legislation that weakens our national security. We simply need to return to common sense border security policies that work. We need to finish the wall and deploy technology to the border. We need to fully reinstate the Remain in Mexico policy and maintain the robustly implemented Title 42 authority. We need to require a negative COVID test before releasing migrants. I think that'd be common sense. Most Americans have to have that. And we need to send a clear message, do not come to the United States illegally. Madam Speaker, if we want to fix the crisis, we need to fix its root cause. But that root cause isn't only in Guatemala, El Salvador, or Honduras. It's right here in Washington, D.C. You see, Madam Speaker, before the crisis hit, there wasn't legislation that was passed. It was just on day one with executive orders. So all they have to do is do the exact same thing they did. Take the pen and bring them back. Let's bring common sense back to solutions. And Madam Speaker, why don't we bring new ideas to committees? Why don't we have members show up for work? And why don't we have committees actually work instead of just picking old ideas when they've created a new problem that will only expand it further? With that, I yield back.
The gentleman yields back. The is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I now yield